Hey everyone, this is Josh Tessier, and I am here to introduce our new podcast, Let's Talk About Real Estate, where we're going to go through today with my dad, Lee, and we're actually going to go through how we built our business, where it's at, where it's going, and how we got there. So welcome, and if you could just start with your backstory, why did you get into real estate, and, what were you doing before that?
Okay. So I was in the business for 16 years now, and before that, I was in the car business since I was a kid. What got me into real estate was real estate investing. So, backstory, I started working with my dad at 8, after school, summers, weekends, car business, started running it when I was 18.
His car lot?
Yeah, his car lot. And then at 22, I was 22, my dad wanted to retire. And I was like, all right, sell it. I'm tired of the headaches. And I went and worked for a new car dealership for 9.5 years, just under 10 years.
Right.
Started buying investment properties 2001 and 2, kept them as rental properties down in the city just outside of near the stadiums in Pigtown, and it became Washington Village in like 2005.
Yep.
We bought them for like $30,000, spent $70 rehabbing them. We were all in for $100. They sold for $250 at the time. So I was like, all right, we'd had one and we had the property next to it that we were going to do the same thing. So that gave me 6 months of reserves that I could get into the business without all the pressure of, hey, I need to have this money for my monthly bills. And we had just built our house, just, finished the basement, just put a pool in. So there was
Perfect timing.
And Tracy didn't work. So,
right.
And 3 of you at home. So, plenty to support. So got
Some
into
of us
real
like
estate.
to eat.
Exactly. I was like, you want food with your meals?
Yeah.
Tacos.
It's weird.
So, got my real estate license in December 28th of 05, started January 2nd of 06. First year I sold 36 homes, and the second year was 46, then 64, then 79, 92, 148, 204, 289. The year we did 289 was 2013. I did 138 sales myself. I was like, don't want to go back there again. So then we really focused on growing the team more, and that's when, I think that's about when you started as a listing agent and so forth, somewhere in that time frame. You've been, 11 years in the business now.
Yeah.
So it kind of led into, where we were to where we're going. And then we peak in the high 400s, and one of these days we're going to cross 500 hopefully this year.
Yeah, for sure. So you said the first year was how many? 30?
36.
Right. So where did all those people come from?
So database. So
What database?
So when I was in the car business, I followed up with my clients once a quarter. Made phone calls. I actually had just a 3-ring spiral book. We send cookies to the clients, and we got a sheet, and that way I'd stay in track with them. All the other guys kind of would be goofing off in the showroom. I was constantly pounding the phone, making phone calls to past clients, checking in on them, see how they're doing. And, when they needed service, I made sure I walked them up to the service lane, got them through. Well, those same clients, I called them and said, hey, I'm selling the most expensive thing rather than the second most expensive thing, buying a car. Let me sell you a house. I'm going to take care of you the same way. And sold 36 homes from that database of just between calling them, following up, and just growing new to the business. Here I was, and I wasn't getting a lot of structure from the brokerage I went to. Was home selling assistance the first year, and had a little bit of like, hey, this is kind of where you're going. And then the second year I went to Remax, and then just started really getting into listening to Buffini, did 100 Days to Greatness, and really focused on the referrals then.
So what was the 100 Days of Greatness? What were you?
It was mainly just following up, and they're just teaching you to follow up on your database, as we do, to just make sure you're contacting your clients, at least once. So your top ones you're going to call once a month. For us now, we have our top 50. So we call them at least once a month and use Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, see how they're doing. It's all about them. It's nothing about us, not trying to sell them anything, just see how they're doing.
Right.
If they're having a kid, they're having a dog, whatever they're in the process of changes in life, make sure we're noting it in our database so we can follow up with them later and check in with them, see how they're doing. If they're having a baby, hey, I knew you were having Max in April. How's the baby?
Right.
Put those notes in the database so you can follow up and be effective, and you care about them. Make sure that when they see it and feel it, that's when they know that you're going to get more referrals out of them. But the goal is always to do what's best for them, and then they're going to do what's best for you.
Right. Yeah, you're not chasing the dollar.
Correct.
Right.
Never have commission breath.
Right. And it's pretty much what you want everyone here to do as we're going through everything and talking about that on the day-to-day.
Correct.
So who was your first hire?
So my first hire was an assistant, which was my mother-in-law.
How'd that work
Susan.
out?
It was good. She was very slow and methodical. I was always fast-paced, 100 miles an hour, trying to get stuff done. She's very, very slow, Very, very methodical, great on all the analytics of stuff and so forth, but not fast. So I'd give her 10 things and I'd be on number 7 and she'd be like, what was number 2 again, or number 3? And then so she stayed with me for about a year and a half and then had some health issues and she stopped working. And then so when I had hired Rose and she was with us for 13 and a half years.
So what was Rose doing and how was she helping you in the business?
So it was all the stuff that was not dollar productive for me. So she was very good on details. So I would hand off of, listing agreements. I need this listing in, put it in the MLS. I have this buyer contract. Usually I wrote the contracts. She would go back, make sure I got all the initials correct. She would help process it through. And then when we were under contract, my second hire was a transaction manager because she could only do so much at a time. And I'd have some months that when I was doing 64 deals myself, that was a lot to manage with one person. So you needed a transaction manager as well. And that was my second. Third was finally a buyer agent, where a lot of people do the opposite. They, their first hire, they want to hire a buyer agent. I'm like, that's not cost effective. You need to hire because you're going to give.
Why isn't it?
Because you're going to give roughly 50% of the profits away. 50% of whatever your gross is coming in the door, anywhere between 40 to 60%, you're giving away. If you do that, you have a lot less to run your business on. So if you're paying somebody a salary, the salaries are generally a lot less, but they know that they're getting that on a monthly basis versus commission-wise. Right. So if you're handing off all the things that you're not good at or don't want to do, now you're much more effective to do your dollar productive activities that you can't hand off.
Okay. All right. So should someone at what level should they hire an assistant? Like when?
If you have revenue coming in the door, you would hire them as soon as possible. So if you were doing 20 deals a year and you're a solo agent, hire somebody.
If I'm doing 5?
No.
Why?
You're not busy enough. You don't have enough revenue coming in the door to hire somebody.
Okay.
Because now you're going to start taking on more expenses. You have to do all of it in the beginning. I think because some people will get in and hire somebody if you have the proceeds. If you have the proceeds and that revenue sitting there, and you say, hey, I'm going to do this as an investment, but the failure rate in this business is way too high. It's 86, 87% don't make it through the first year. So here you're going to invest in a salary and pay all these things because we see it with marketing. People start spending for marketing and then they start spending for assistants and they don't have any business and you have no expenses. I mean, you have all these expenses, no revenue.
Right.
Versus if you have revenue coming in the door, now you have money to do something with, reinvest it in your business, make your life better because you can trade. You're always trading time for money or money for time. Yeah, sure. Time for money.
So what about coaching? We do coaching. We have coaches. You and I will help coach people. Like, why would someone hire a coach?
Take the learning curve out of it. So the second year in the business, I hired a coach. That was one of my main hires because I need them to prod me along. I need accountability. And I also want to take the learning curve out of the business. Like, what don't I know? What do you know that I don't? And at some point, then you're having, as you level up, as we've changed coaches over the years, we need to have somebody that can coach us to the level that we're going to, not the one level that we're at.
Sure. Okay, that's fair.
But accountability is a huge thing. I mean, look at what we go through every day.
Right. So what, in the market that we're in now, coming out of COVID, what are agents doing besides, most of them are scrambling. They're sucking a lot of air right now, really not getting anything happening. So what could they be doing?
Structure their day. What's the day look like? So I always say make your week look as boring as possible, meaning you're going to do the same things every day. We know at 9 a.m. we have a meeting every day. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is role play. We used to role play 5 days a week. You need to practice on each other before you can practice on the consumer. If you practice on the consumer, that's costly. You practice on your friends, family, stuff of that sort. Then you're much more effective and you get much higher return on investments rather than you get a lead coming in the door and you don't know what to do with it. I think of when Ron Howard had his team up here and his agents were role playing at the one table after our agents role played. Yeah. And the one stopped me on the way out and he's like, I wish I would have been here yesterday. It would have saved me 5 phone calls to that buyer. Right. And I would save myself, the embarrassment of having to call him all those times.
Why did he say that? What were we going through?
Through LP Mama. So location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment. So it's 6 key items that you're going to hit through a conversation. It becomes a 5 to 7 minute conversation. If you're going through it, it gives you just a cadence to speak through and ask the questions and dive deeper. As this market changes, you need to find out more than ever, like what is that buyer or seller, what's their motivation? Because otherwise you're just like, hey, in today's market, I want top dollar of this. This is what it sold for. I want to get higher than that. That's not where our market's heading. Our market's heading in the opposite direction. It's capping out. I don't think we're going to have these, huge influx of $50,000 and $80,000 over. We're seeing it stopped. Parts of Florida, they've had already 18 to 20% drops, depending on where they're at.
Since when?
Since May.
Okay.
So actually,
Big
March, we're seeing it in May, June, July. Even this time of the year where they usually start to get a little bit busier is already starting to slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down price point wise. I mean, prices are dropping, not inclining.
Yeah, I mean, Hartford County, in general, year over year is a 22% increase in inventory sitting here. So,
and sales are down
5% across the country. And the sales are down. So, again, with the sales being down, how should people be generating leads right now?
So
should they just go spend a bunch of money?
No, the other thing is leads are down across the board about 70%. So people are looking at, I want to go buy leads. I'm like, no, your leads that are 12 to 15 months old are the most effective. Make sure you're going through them. The best leads are in your database. Go call the people that already know you, like you, trust you. If you're new to the business, make sure, who's your Christmas card list? Who would you invite to your wedding, and you start calling them because they already know you, they like you, they trust you. If you're on a team, you have that extra support of, hey, I have a team that I'm on, I'm getting all the training and so forth to move forward. If I'm an individual, you're trying to go figure it out. And once they see that you have the knowledge, then they're going to give you business. But that's always your first source, is your own database. That's where I grew mine from. And then if you're taking leads on, you really have to go after some of the ones that may have been out there for a while, because people have been searching. They've been trying to buy a house for 15 or 18 months and haven't been able to buy because the market's so crazy. And now that things have settled down a little bit more, now they are able to buy a home of what they are looking for. They're not competing with 15 or 20 offers that are going $50,000 or $100,000 over list price. They're able to get something that's more in their range, even though rates are a little bit higher.
Sure. Okay. So we have on our team now, there's 4 to 5 new agents I know right now that just joined, just got licensed, and already within 45 days are already producing. They got contracts, they've got new clients that they're working with, showings, all the fun things that go along with that. Like, what are we doing differently than everyone else that's only selling, 4 to 5 is the national average that someone's going to sell a year. Austin just had 4 closings last month and he's brand new.
Yeah. So structure, accountability, training. So, and then what you put in this business, you're going to get out. So we're trying to find the ones that are motivated, that want to do better, but also taking that, and here's our structure. When you go in the military, you have a structure, right? You go to the police department, you're a teacher, you have structure. You go in the medical field, you have structure. Real estate, you come in and it's like, have at it. You can do whatever the hell you want. Yeah, and you can actually make that money. Right. So what are we doing? We're giving them structure in their day. But every day we start at the same time, right? We have our meetings. You run the meetings, 9 a.m. every morning. So I think of how effective you've gotten over the 11 years of business, of all the knowledge that you have, that you've overseen. We've done 4,500, 4,300 deals. And how many of them have you been involved in? You've been, as a sales manager,
somewhere in there. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, what have you gotten? You've grown so much. Now you're pouring into these people, as well as me, as well as Riley, as well as Lisa. And then our senior agents that have been here for 5 to 7 years, 8 years, that are pouring back into our new agents to help. So I think the structure is one of the huge things. Training, accountability. So you got your sales accountability meeting that you run Monday. Talk a little bit about that. Give me a little bit more of like, what's that Monday look like?
Well, so for us, again, we're looking at their metrics. We're going back through following, how many calls did they make? Did they get their dials in that they needed? Because we know how many dials it takes to get to an appointment. If they know it takes 126 calls to make one appointment, then did they make 126 calls? Where did the lead come from? Did they follow up with it? How many times did they reach out to it? Was it once? Was it 10 times? The average consumer doesn't, or the average agent, I guess, doesn't realize that. I know another coaching company had put a stat out there that it took over 184 reach out attempts for them to convert their average lead in their database. People just think, we're going to buy these leads and it's just going to turn around and, I'm going to go collect a paycheck and I can go to happy hour. It's just not the case. We tell everyone first 2 years is going to suck. You're going to get in this business. You're going to pull your hair out. You're going to lose your mind and you're not going to have enough time and people are going to be pissed at you. And you just have to set those expectations up front.
Right.
That's what we do when we hire people. Like, hey, your life's going to suck if you really want to be successful at this in the next 2 years.
Yeah. You got to put the time in.
Right. And that's,
and effective time,
8,
not
9,
fake work.
10, 70-hour work weeks or more. How many hours a day were you working when you did 138?
I was probably doing 90-hour weeks, and I know nobody wants to do that. So
right, so that was fun.
Yeah, exactly. And now I think you can be more effective with your time. That was running the team, growing the team, and selling 138 homes. So people are saying, "Oh, I'm so busy." I'm like, "You're busy being busy in your head, but you're not being effective busy." So what are you doing that's dollar productive? So all these outbound calls. We were talking to one of the agents the other day, and she's like, "Well, I don't always like calling my database, but I like going to lunch with them and so forth." I was like, all right, is lunch through osmosis that you thought about it and all of a sudden you guys meet at a place? And she said, no, I have a phone call. I'm like, yes, the phone call leads you to that belly-to-belly appointment. And the more belly-to-belly appointments you have, and that can be lunch, it can be meeting for a drink, can be meeting for a coffee, can be meeting for anything, or it could be meeting, hey, I want to sell my house or I want to buy a house, or I have a friend that wants to buy or sell. That's where you start stair-stepping things up.
So when someone new comes on here, we always go through, the first thing is they got to do their top 50. So what's the top 50 for people? What is that, and what's the process?
Yep. So top 50 is who is their 50 people that they know the best that would more than likely refer them business. And the top 50 is going to be changing. That changes quarterly, roughly. It may change a little bit more often than that, depending on their referral business from it. But they're calling through them once a month. So they're calling, it's 3 calls a day.
So I'm on your top 50 list. You're calling me once a month.
Yep. Hey, Josh, how are you?
Great.
Yeah. How's everything going?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Thanks. How are you?
Yeah. You had a baby a little bit ago, right?
Yeah. Max, he's getting big.
Yeah. So was it Maximus?
Yes.
Maximus.
Yeah,
Good,
Maximus. Good. Yeah. How's everything with you and your family?
Yeah, everybody's good. No complaints.
Tracy's good?
Yeah, she's still having some health issues, but just working through, trying to make the best of it. So.
Yeah, I get that.
So how's Charlene doing?
Good. Yeah, great. Enjoying the time with the baby.
Good.
So
and Carrington's back in school.
Yeah, she's enjoying that, not being stuck at home.
Good. And you've been in the house almost 2 years, right?
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah, we've been in the house for 2 years. So that's been, a work in progress.
All right. Have you done a lot to it since you've been there?
Yeah, a lot. So you'll have to come by one day and check it out.
Okay. I'll shoot you a text this coming week, but just wanted to check on you, see how everything's going, and any questions that you had, like any questions you have about the real estate market or anything, or?
No, it seems like everyone's been put through the ringer the last couple of years with that. I think we got lucky buying when we did.
No, timing's everything, which is fantastic, but it also is what works for you, and that's the main reason you bought when you did.
Yeah.
So it's always the changes in life. That's where we help people the most.
For sure.
So I'm glad, it's good to talk to you. And then I'll check in with you next month if you need anything beforehand. And then also when I'm in the area, I'll give you a call or shoot you a text and see if I can swing by and check out the house.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah. Look forward to seeing you guys and the baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Awesome. Well, good talking to you.
You too.
All right. See ya.
So when you call and then you follow up, or how are you getting business out of that? I mean, I don't know how that would have been, How would you have gotten business there?
So what business is not always right then. So it could have been the conversation can go multiple ways. It could go just like it has. I'm going to keep following up with them once a month. If after like 6 months, 7 months, they haven't referred me business, but I also have to teach them through the process. So that would be, say if that's the first call, then the second or third call in, I'll be like, hey, do you know anybody else that could use my service? Do you feel comfortable referring me? Would I be one that you would refer for your business? And if you said, well, I'm not really sure, like I think most of them aren't going to say no, but majority of them, if you did what you're supposed to do and you're caring about them, they're going to say, oh my God, yeah, I would definitely refer you. Okay, great.
Right.
I just want to, when you hear somebody talking about real estate and you think I can be of help, do you mind if I, could you call me and give me their info or send me a text, whatever's easiest what's the best way for you to get me that information? And then, they're usually going to say, oh, I can text it to you. That's fine. And then, I appreciate the follow-up. We also have an MVP program. So I'd enter you into our MVP program. We do different giveaways every month. And then sometimes we'll have bigger things like we have Ravens tickets that we're given for opening day. That's 4 rows from the field, great seats, whoever wins out of it.
Right.
We do a drawing. So we just want to do things for the
You're building your
effectiveness
cheerleaders.
of referral.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want them, and we also need to teach them through the process also. It's not, hey, but you're having a conversation is all about them. Typically, we would go back and they're going to ask like, oh, well, how's real estate for you?
Right.
Like, I know the market's crazy, like you had said. Sometimes you have to prompt it like, hey, did you have any other real estate questions? Because they may say, oh, yeah, I had a 5% interest rate. Are rates doing any better or worse? Right. Where are they at? Or, hey, I was thinking about doing a home equity line because we want to do some work. Okay, great. Or, hey, do you everything good at the house? I need an electrician, I need a plumber, I need carpet guy, I need flooring, whatever it may be. Be that referring source to help connect them. The more you can connect them, the better off you are. I think of ones that moved in from San Diego. When she bought the house, I was like, all right, do you know anybody here to cut your hair? Because women are going to, and both men and women are like, I'm particular cuts my hair. So I said, oh, okay, this person lives in your neighborhood. She actually cuts my hair. I can connect you if you want. Oh, okay, great. So I call the girl cuts my hair, call her, connect them. The more that you do that, and I've seen Dana today when I got my hair cut. She still uses her. It's been 2.5 years. But it's a matter of, helping connect them with the right people.
Right, connector. You are a connector. You
Correct.
just tie one person to the next.
Correct.
I need a plumber, or I'm
Yep. And that's there's no I didn't sell a house because of that, right?
No,
and I'm not.
You're just
selling
doing
a
the
house,
right thing and keeping up with.
Yeah,
people.
but when you do that, and then all of a sudden you elevate yourself to them, so they're thinking of, hey, they hear a friend that's going to sell a house, or they have a buyer that's going to whatever, somebody they work with that's talking about the reticular activator. In the back of your mind is now like, oh yeah, Josh sells houses. Oh yeah, I heard them talk about real estate. Let me connect them.
Right.
Do you mind if I have Josh call you? You said you're looking to buy a house. He's one of the top real estate agents in the county. So it just becomes very conversational.
Yeah, and those people are usually the ones that are like the people that had either bought or sold before. So those are people you want to work with instead of someone new that's running you through the ringer.
Right.
At that point in time.
Yeah, I was talking to Shannon, the one guy I coach in Florida, and he said he had his best day ever because he had to fire 2 clients, and after he fired them, there were sellers that weren't listening to him. Everything was his fault, and they were stressed out about money and all this other stuff. And he's like, I had to finally fire. He's like, I had so much time invested and money invested in there, but once I cut that tie, I was like a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, we tell everyone that here. I mean, if they start chasing the money at that point in time, especially if they're new, like, oh God, like I need to get a check. And it's like, at what point do you start losing money with the amount of time you have showing houses and gas and just time in general? You're not getting it back.
Stress too. When they add that extra stress, now you're internalizing that. Now you're calling people like, hey, how are you? Not instead of like the projecting of the way you speak through the phone. People, when they're making their outbound calls, if they put a mirror in front of them, it's amazing what happens when you smile, when you dial, right? You can hear me smiling through if you're listening to audio versus when I'm talking like this and have my hand over my mouth and I'm like not so happy.
Yeah.
You can feel that. And then when you're dealing with the wrong person and they're beating you up, now all of a sudden you're like you've just shut yourself down, and now you're the better self that's out there looking for new business.
And you're not good for anyone else at that point.
No, home or work.
So wrapping up, what would be the top 3 to 5 things someone should be working on right now, whether they're new, experienced, going back to the basics? What's going to generate business for them?
Structure, number 1. So set your schedule, meaning, hey, every day I'm doing this. I would tell you mine, I get up 4:45 in the morning. I'm at the gym. I meet my trainer at 10:06. I have my workout early in the morning. I come in the office. I know I'm here. Even though I'm running late, I'm here before 9 o'clock.
Right.
So start your day at a specific time. Do some practice. So find another agent if you don't have somebody on your team to practice with, and role play. You can look up LP Mama on YouTube,
Google, or wherever.
Yeah, wherever. Just so listen to some of it. Get some practice. Level your game up. So that would be structure, practice, and then outbound calls. So if you haven't built your database yet, better start digging. If you don't have a database, find one, get one. We use Follow Up Boss, it's really good. We've used Top Producer over the years. We've used different platforms, but I'd say, find one that works for you and then lean into it. Get a little bit of training on it, know how to use it. So schedule your day, make your phone calls, do something to move your body, because the body in motion tend to stay in motion. The endorphin release, you have a better morning if you do this early. Do all these things early in the morning, because the day's going to get a hold of you and shit starts falling apart. Like, hey, you get tied into this. You got family stuff. You get a flat tire. You got whatever it may be. When you're not prepared, Murphy always shows up. That Murphy's Law of the stuff that's going to go wrong. So make sure you're structuring yourself, first of all. If you don't have an accountability partner, get one. Or coach, whatever it is, you need to have somebody as that accountability, because who's going to hold me accountable to going to the gym? Who's going to hold me accountable to being in? Who's going to hold me accountable to making my calls, then follow-ups?
Right.
Fortune's in the follow-up. Most people don't follow up. If they call one time, average internet lead gets followed up on 48% of the time. So 52% it doesn't get followed up on. Much less it needs now like 15 to 25 contacts between email, text, video.
Right.
And much less calls. So you've got to do way more than you ever did to get the same conversion. The order taker that you were for the last year and a half, 2 years, gone. Like, those days are bye-bye. You better work your ass off now, or you're going to be left in the dust.
Yeah. What else? Anything?
That would be my big things. Anything you got to add to it? What would you do?
Just like you said, the scripting, the practice, like be prepared for outbound. The business isn't just beating down your door where you throw a sign in the yard and it's gone the next day. Now you're starting to see it get back to the norm where things are expiring. They're getting withdrawn. They're pissed at their agent because they just did whatever they wanted to do. I mean, we just did a video on, pricing your home right a week or two ago. And, the client's not always right.
Right.
They think, their house is the Taj Mahal, even if it's, the average Joe down the street, either one. But you never want to be the nicest house on the block, so that doesn't necessarily help. So, I mean, just have it, like you said, that structure, the accountability, setting goals. Nobody has goals written down. How many houses do you want to sell this year? How are you figuring that number out?
Well, you need
like, how would they figure that out if I set out, what's a good number for someone new coming into the business to sell?
Right. Typically, our goal for our new agents is 2 a month. I mean, any agent is at least a minimum of 2 a month because 24 deals, then you're making a decent income. But if you're not structuring, like when you go into an appointment, are you pricing the right brackets? Price brackets are going to come back in place. Before, there was only 5 houses on the market in a whole zip code.
Right.
Now it didn't matter what the price was. They were just charging a zip code. Now they're going to be back to price brackets. Make sure you're pricing appropriately, meaning at $500,000, don't price at $499. You come into categories between 450 to 500, 470, 500, 500 to 525, 500 to 550, at 500 even. Just small things go a long way. Devil is in the details. Fortune's in the follow-up. Remember those couple things. And then consistency and persistency. I think of our agents, Austin, here he just settled 4 last month, had 5 under contract. He helped one of the other agents. So technically 5 settled from him writing offers. But the month and a half before that, he was working consistently, making extra calls, following up because he was like, I feel like I'm in a slump. Like, keep at it. And then all of a sudden the compound effect kicks in. And all of a sudden now he has, 4 that settle and he has a great month.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap up there and hopefully everybody enjoyed. And if there's any questions or anything they'd like to reach out with, they can call us at the office, 410-638-9555. And we'll answer any questions that you guys have there.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you.